Welcome back to the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest, and today we're going to talk about tools that you should bring on a road trip with you. This is a question I've been asked a few times, and a lot of people who watch this channel are already mechanics, so if you know what you should bring on a road trip, then this may not be the video for you, but you're welcome to watch it, and any support's greatly appreciated. So I'm just going to go through like some tools that you should bring, some things you should bring on a road trip, and starting out with just the most simple is the oil that matches your vehicle. So make sure you have the right kind of oil, the right weight. If you don't know, go to AutoZone or wherever and ask them what kind of oil your vehicle takes. It may need, this is like conventional oil, you may need to have synthetic. And if you haven't had an oil change or you're about due for an oil change, consider getting an oil change before you go on that road trip. But make sure you have a little bit of oil for your vehicle, and if you run low on your road trip, you never drive your vehicle if the oil light comes on. So if that oil light comes on and you're only a couple miles to the next exit, too bad. Do not drive on that oil light. Just pull over and figure out how to get some oil. I've seen people seize up their engines just trying to make it to the gas station that was just a couple minutes away, and it happened to my brother personally, who drove on his oil light and seized up his engine. It's quite frequent. It's not worth risking, thinking you may be able to make it to the next gas station. Do not drive with that oil light on. So pull over and top off the oil immediately before you keep driving. So it's good to have the oil that matches your vehicle, as well as some other fluids like power steering fluid. These are all like AutoZone brands, but you can get the kind specific to your vehicle at your dealerships, or if your vehicle works fine with the standard one size fits all fluids, then that's good as well. Your vehicle will drive without power steering. Some are electric power steering as well, so they don't even have power steering fluid, but just consider having some other fluids that your vehicle needs, maybe even brake fluid, and automatic transmission fluid. If you have an automatic transmission, maybe gear oil if you have a manual transmission, but that's quite a bit more difficult to service the fluid in a manual transmission. But it happened to my aunt recently. I got a call a few weeks ago. My aunt said there was a bunch of oil all over the back of her car, and her vehicle stopped shifting. And turns out that she had a hose for her transmission cooler that ran up to the radiator, popped off, and drained all of her automatic transmission fluid. So, in that case, it's hard to say, you should have had 4 quarts of transmission fluid on you, because it's not likely that you're going to carry that much, but maybe just a little bit if you need to top it off. But probably just check that before you go on your trip and make sure it's topped off. And it's not a bad idea to have a quart or 2 with you just in case, because she was, several states away out here. Luckily, she found an honest mechanic in the town she was in. She wasn't close by, and he was able to tell her that it was just that hose and got it back on the road for her. The next thing is we'll jump into like a little bit of tools. So have some nice pliers. These pliers are adjustable to all the way up to a very large size. So this is a good set of pliers to have. You can do a lot with these, even undo bolts and fasteners. And these, the one thing to consider is if you have a set of pliers that don't have any sort of cutters on them, is to have a pair of cutters as well in case you need to cut a wire or something. You may also consider having some belts for your vehicle. Let's see if I have, there's a cool little tool here. I don't know if I have it nearby. Here it is. This is more for kind of like shop equipment, drill presses and stuff. But this is an adjustable belt. It's pretty hard to adjust, but if you have something like this, if you have old style belts on your vehicle, you may consider getting an adjustable belt that, just in case of an emergency and you need to make it to the next town, you can fashion a belt that fits, whatever instrument lost its belt. If you have a groove style serpentine belt, that's probably not going to fit it. So you may consider having a belt and a tool to replace your belt if you know how to do that. There's some tools specific for replacing serpentine belts, and they look like this. They're very narrow so that they can get in there and loosen up those tensioners. But you may try and service your own serpentine belt, or figure out what tool you need to do it and have that on hand as well. So the next thing we'll jump into is a nice toolkit. This one's really nice, from AutoZone as well. I have one that's pretty similar in the description down below, and all these tools will be in the description down below if you're interested in it. This one you can only get at AutoZone, maybe ordered online from AutoZone, but not on Amazon. So there's not a link for this particular one, but there's a similar one. And this has everything, including screwdrivers, all the different wrenches and stuff. I lost the insert for it, so it's really disorganized right now. But it's just your typical toolkit, and when I went on a road trip, I took this and I fixed 4 or 5 vehicles for family members on that road trip, and I did it pretty much all with this toolkit. So yeah, you've got your screwdrivers, your wrenches, your sockets, standard wrenches up here, metric and standard, but like your traditional style wrench, some Allen wrenches. So nice little toolkit. Something like this is probably the biggest thing I could recommend taking on a road trip. Alright, next up is the one thing you want to make sure is that you have a jack that works for your vehicle. And if you have a jack, make sure you have the handle for it. This jack, the handle isn't removable, but some are, so make sure you have that handle so you can use the jack on the side of the road if you need to. And make sure the most commonly overlooked thing when people are preparing for a road trip is the spare tire air pressure. So make sure your spare tire has the proper amount of air pressure. In this case, I have one of these tire inflators that hooks right into your vehicle in the cigarette lighter, and it works really well. Wouldn't pump up the tires in this big old truck, but in any traditional size vehicle, even like a pickup truck, this will inflate a tire. In the pickup truck, it might get hot every single tire, and you have to let it cool down. On a small vehicle, you could inflate all of the tires, before this thing overheats. This has a meter on it telling you how much air pressure is in each tire. So that's something that you need to make sure you have. If you just have an inflator, make sure you have one of these if it doesn't have an air pressure or meter in it. So this one also has a flashlight on it. But one of my other recommendations is to have a good flashlight in your kit as well. And one probably that's independent from the vehicle's battery, in case your problem comes down to an alternator or something and you're out of power. Then if your flashlight's reliant on the vehicle's power, if you have to plug it into the cigarette lighter for it to work, there's a chance that you may not be able to use it on the trip. So something like this jump pack works good as well. Let's see, it's got a flashlight built into it, and it works as a portable power source. So a battery bank, you can plug a USB in here. This is the link for this one's in the description as well. And if you park at a gas station, your battery dies or something, I recommend having a jump box and not jumper cables, because who knows if it dies in the middle of nowhere and you can't get it started. There's nobody else around to jump it off. With traditional jumper cables, you're reliant on another vehicle to be there to help you. So whereas with this, if you have this, you're good to go as long as your alternator's working. But I've driven cars several miles with just this hooked onto the battery when the alternator wasn't working. So if you're close enough to a town or something, you may be able to get back to town with just one of those hooked up to your vehicle. The next thing is possibly an OBD2 scanner. If you have check engine lights come on, then you want to make sure that you're not going to cause any damage to your engine while you're driving. Then you may want to have a scanner to see exactly what's going on. You can also always stop by like AutoZone or O'Reilly's or somewhere and have them scan the codes. If there's one wherever you're going. But again, you could be independent if you have your own OBD2 scanner. All right, I think that's it. That's what I have come up with for tools that you should have on a road trip for pretty much anybody. The things that weren't shown was probably belts specific to your vehicle. Or if you have and these are those old style belts where they're just V-groove belts is what they're called. They're about this wide, and so this will work if you have those kinds of belts. If you don't, then make sure you have maybe a serpentine belt for your vehicle, or you know how to service that serpentine belt and you have the tools for it. But if you can think of something that you would take on a road trip that I didn't mention, leave it in the description down below. In the comments down below. And thanks for watching. This is the Roadside Rescue YouTube channel. I'm Ernest. We'll see you on the next episode.